Hi, everyone. I'm Nicole Alvarez. Welcome to the Audacy DTS sound space. This room that I'm in has seen a lot of magic, and it's about to see some more. Please welcome the Lumineers.
This first one is a Brightside acoustic.
I could see it in the air. Every word was like smoke from a cigarette. You were blowing in your hair. The heat had broken the Oldsmobile and the light in your eyes. Alone on the freeway, I was stranded in the bed. You were listening to the dark side of the moon. I could barely see your eyes. Psilocybin in a hotel room and the light in your eyes. And waves on the ceiling. I'll be your bright side, baby, tonight. I'll be your bright side, baby, tonight. Tonight. You were tired of Tacoma. I was tired of believing we were right, losing every other friend, finding nothing in the afterlife but the light in your eyes. Alone on a feeling. I'll be your bright side, baby, tonight. I'll be your bright side, baby, tonight. Tonight. You're stranded on a bridge. You're crying for your kids. I'll be your bright side, baby, tonight. 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 I could see it in the air. Every word was like smoke from a cigarette. Sun is coming up ahead. Catch a crack in the windshield, shining the light in your eyes. Alone on the freeway, I'll be your bright side, baby, tonight. I'll be your bright side, baby, tonight. Tonight. You're stranded on a bridge. The cops are closing in. I'll be your bright side, baby, tonight. Tonight. Tonight.
Nice. Okay. It's gonna be Ophelia here. This is a song called Ophelia.
When I was younger, I should have known better, and I can't feel no remorse, and you don't feel nothing bad, nothing bad. I got a new girlfriend. Feels like he's on top, and I don't feel no remorse. And you can't see past my blind. flood. Oh, Ophelia, heaven help a fool who falls in love. I got a little paycheck and you got big plans and you gotta move. And I don't feel nothing at all. Whoa. You can't feel nothing small. So honey, I love you. That's all she wrote. Oh, Ophelia, you've been on my mind, girl, like a drug. Oh, Ophelia, heaven help a fool who falls in love. Oh, Ophelia, you've been on my mind, girl, since the flood. Oh, Ophelia, heaven help a fool who falls in love. Oh, Ophelia, you've been on my mind, girl, since the flood. Oh, Ophelia, heaven help a fool who falls in love.
Thank you. Yeah. This is called Gloria.
Gloria, smell it on your breath. Gloria, the booze and peppermint. Gloria, no one said enough is enough. Gloria, found you on the floor. Gloria, my hand was tied to yours. Gloria, did you finally see that enough is enough? Did you know me when I was younger then? I could take the whole world with me. I would find myself feeling alone. Heaven help me now, heaven show the way. Get me back on my own 2 feet. I would lie awake and pray you don't lie away from me. Whoa. Gloria, you crawled up on your cross. Gloria, you made us sit and watch. Gloria, no one said enough is enough. Heaven help, heaven help, heaven show, get me back on my own 2 feet. I would lie awake and pray you don't lie awake for me. Every night away, every day alone, get me back on my own 2 feet. I would lie awake and pray you don't lie awake for me. Whoa. Whoa. you had enough.
This song is called Angela, and it's about feeling like you're coming home.
When you left this town with your windows down and the wilderness inside, let the exits pass all the tar and glass to the road and skyline. The strangers in this town, they raise you up just to cut you down. Oh, Angela, it's a long time coming. And your Volvo lights lit up green and white with the city's on the signs. But you held your course to some distant war in the corners of your mind. And from the second time around, the only love I ever found. Oh, Angela, it's a long time coming. Home at last. Were you safe and warm in your coat of arms with your fingers in a fist? Did you hear the notes, all those static codes in the radio abyss? The strangers in this town, they raise you up just to cut you down. Oh, Angela, it's a long time coming in. Oh, Angela, spent your whole life running away. Home at last. Home at last. Vacancy, hotel room, lost in me, lost in you. Angela, on my knees, I belong, I believe. Home at last. Home at last. Home at last. Home at last. Home at last.
Right. Thank you guys. Yeah, appreciate you.
Welcome, everybody. This is the Audacy DTS Sound Space. I'm Nicole Alvarez, and I'm joined by the Lumineers. This is Wes and Jeremiah. Hi, guys.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
Let's start off with the obvious. I missed you. Did you miss me?
Yeah.
We did.
You
yeah.
laughed,
Yeah, we
Wesley.
missed you.
You left.
We missed playing live shows. The last time we were recounting, the last time we hung out was it was an outside event
Weenie
3 years
roast?
ago, Weenie Roast.
Yeah, and it was right as
Right on
Game
the
of
beach.
Thrones ended because you had done that Game of Thrones song.
That's right. We did
And that's what
Nightshade.
we were talking about.
Yeah.
So I want to start off, speaking of live shows, I'm fresh off a live Lumineers show that happened at the Santa Barbara Bowl, and it was a special night. I don't think it was just for me, because I've seen on your socials you're still buzzing. First of all, kudos for your walkout song, which was Rolling Stones' Give Me Shelter.
Yeah.
By design, or were you just paying homage to the Rolling Stones that night?
Well, we usually try to pick out something that gets us amped for the show. So we had Fleetwood Mac's The Chain on Cleopatra tour, and then on 3 we were using Give Me Shelter, and it got cut short, so it felt appropriate to keep using it. And then Charlie Watt had just passed away, so the whole thing was just it's an emotional song, that whole ride, so it gets us really pumped. when I was waiting backstage to go on, I asked for more of the song
Louder?
in my ears because it was really.
Do you
getting me
get all like pumped up before you go on? I was wondering because the audience, like, it was very electrifying to be out there and the lights were being dim. You know, the Santa Barbara Bowl is magical in and of itself, but then Gimme Shelter started playing and you could feel it. And I wondered, are you guys back there like boxers?
It's a very intense high right before you go on stage. I mean, about 30 minutes before every show, we meet in our green room and we perform a few songs, sometimes 4 or 5 songs. We always like to play the first song that we're going to play, so it's not, you're not going from cold in your green room just to performing, but we're kind of like jumping around like we're about to play the Super Bowl or something. It's a very exciting moment. And then we have this tradition where we shake, there's 6 of us now, we shake each other's hands to have a good show. And it's just very kind of spiritual bonding, constant. No matter what city, what country you're in, I think it keeps us grounded and, keeps the love between us all.
I have video from that night. Jeremiah, you're always happy, but this particular night, you were smiling from ear to ear. You look like a naked baby in a candy store. Like, you were just like with your drumsticks, and you have this huge smile on your face. Is it because you're so excited to be back out because it has been so long, or I don't know, were you just drunk? Kidding.
That's the first time I've ever heard that description of, what was it, naked baby?
Naked baby in a candy store. That's what you look like.
I think, honestly, that was a very special show. I wouldn't consider myself happy all the time, but the cameras were rolling.
Are you happy right now?
Yeah. The cameras are on, yes. I think, honestly, for that show, it had been about 18 months. Mm. It felt like forever. It felt like a lifetime had been, slipped through the cracks of, like, it just was really emotional to play that show again.
Yeah.
We had played a show, I think, a week ago in Boulder, Colorado, very close to our home in Denver, but playing this show in front of a lot more people, knew it was live streamed, getting out to other folks and stuff. It was just it wasn't just like, oh, we got a gig tonight, just another thing. It was like a very big deal to do that show.
We've been rehearsing also in a bubble with the band and the crew to prevent anyone from getting COVID so that we could play all these things we were trying to play this month at the end of it. So it's all this rehearsing. It'd be like if you're an athlete and all you're doing is practicing and you're not seeing any of the outside world, and then you get a game and the whole crowd is there. It's like that, where it's such a rush.
It's such a
and
rush, right?
You realize why you had been, rehearsing that hard and that long, because it's a lot to learn all these new songs, and have everyone in the band learn their parts and, have it run smooth. So a lot of it was like, this was the fun part. You know?
I'll say too, I was in actually a pretty negative headspace before the show because
you did not seem like it at all.
I had gotten really bad sleep at our hotel.
Yeah.
And the night before we did a full rehearsal and I just messed up this one new song. And I knew we were playing 8 new songs. And I think the live stream got in my head where I'm like, normally it's just, you play a show and people are going to film some of it. Yeah. But I think the live stream, it just became this
it's in your face
echo chamber in my head. And then I think all those nerves, and then all that anxiety, stress, whatever, it just morphed into like pure joy.
That exploded on your face.
Yeah, it was all, I'm glad it did a 180 and not the other way around.
I'm going to send you these videos because it's like I zoned in on you because you did look like the one time like Animal in the Muppets, just like banging away and smiling. And I was like, I just want a little bit of that.
Someone on our management team, we played a new song. It's called Birthday. And someone on our I think Joe, our booking agent, was like, I loved Birthday. And he sent me the Muppet guy. Groucho, what's his name?
Animal.
Banging on trash cans. And I was like, all right.
You said something that night about humility that stuck with me because, you called bullshit on humility. The people that win awards and like, this thanks for this humbling moment, when really it's not.
Right.
And what we all went through, the pandemic, that was humbling.
Yeah.
So in those moments of humility, when all of this that you do was taken away from you for a bit, what did you learn? So being backstage and writing new music, what did you learn and what is different now after the humility?
Well, it's a combination of things, right? For me, I got to spend a lot of time with my son, who's now like 3.5. So between the ages of like 2 and 3.5, we were together almost every day. And that's not normal for a touring musician. You go through periods where you're with your kids and your family and when you're not. And so watching him get older and realizing that I had thought of time as frozen when I was touring. And then like if I was off the road, you sort of you savor those times, you savor the times on the road, but you never really imagine that you're aging. You're like the frozen person in the ice or something. And then I started to realize that you know, there is a fragility and like a finiteness, whatever the right word is, to a lot of this that pause gave me. It was painful. It was a painful pause.
Yeah.
It was like I felt like that last album's tour on our 3 record, it was the most gratifying tour experience I had had personally. And then it was like you were riding down the street on your bike, flying down the hill, and someone stuck a stick right in your spokes. Mm-hmm. It was very jarring.
Yep.
And so I think for me, it just made me sort of think about that a little more and attempt to be present a lot more than I was. Because I think the mistake I was making was surviving maybe a lot more than I was living or thriving, you know?
Yeah.
Just like getting through something because you thought you had a bigger task
Yeah.
ahead of you, always thinking of, for the future.
Yeah.
And even just being on the stage, you know, a couple nights ago, I was in that moment a lot more, you know, where it wasn't always on to the next song. What am I doing here? And I wasn't thinking that much. I felt like I was taking things in, and that's really beautiful. But the whole thing was, I can't stress it enough. I think the whole thing was pretty traumatic for everybody I know. Like, you know, no one gets out unscathed from what's been happening. It continues to happen a lot to people. So yeah, we're all coming out of this strange time, this strange haze.
So 2 things. I'm glad you said the thing about being present. A friend of mine said to me the other day that we're always chasing the next thing. So we're always chasing like the next concert, the next thing, the next responsibility. And every time that we decide to live like that, we are telling ourselves we don't need to be present because I'm too busy chasing the next thing. And that is how you steal time from yourself. One of the things I realized being at the show with you guys, usually when a band plays a new song, that's when people take beer and bathroom break.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't know this song, I'm out of here. Nobody left.
Yeah.
And so one of the reasons I know that this new album is going to be spectacular is because of the presence that it allowed me. And sometimes presence is the hardest state to get in, right? But these new songs grounded everybody. And I think the beauty of playing new songs right now, we are at the ground level of a new world. The old world is behind us. So you're providing a soundtrack to this new world. You kept saying, thanks for being patient. We're playing all these new songs, but we were so excited about it. But how nerve-wracking is it for you to introduce new music to your audience who already loves you anyways?
Yeah, I think if you're playing like a room of 100 or a few hundred people, I think you get a lot more leeway with an audience. I think if it's a situation in the Hollywood or in the Santa Barbara Bowl, it was 5,000 people, something like that, and so you have to try to communicate a lot of information in like 15 seconds of like why they should understand what you're singing about. And so that was, to me, like the task, that was the challenge, was trying to get someone to care about something that normally they would, like you said, use it as a break for the bathroom.
Yeah, or beer.
And I think it was a combination of trying to do that, trying to mix in old songs with new songs, and also that I think these songs have more of an immediacy than some songs in our past. You know, I think there's something truly like I can play some of these songs from our friends back home who've never heard it, and by the end of the song, they might be singing along. There's something anthemic about them, or I don't know what it is, but we were tapping into something that felt a little more. We describe them as slow burns. Some of our older songs where, you know, it's like your favorite song was the least favorite when you first heard it. That kind of thing.
I can see that.
And you start to appreciate it, grows on you, and all of a sudden you can't stop listening to it. And I think we always trusted that because that you don't want to burn something out. You don't want it to feel like, oh, I remember when I listened to that so much and now I can't stand it. I like someone just slowly warming up to something and it being with them for their whole life. But for some reason, I think this has a different entry with people where you can just play it and they get it. And
I want to keep talking about the new music, but I've always wanted to say this to you. I think it's clever that you don't do Ho Hey at the end, because I think most people expect Ho Hey to be at the end.
Yeah.
But you like sneak it in, like third or fourth, to not give it, because it is a huge, massive song, but you kind of give it a different place.
Yeah.
And it's cool because it gives so many other songs time to shine. Clever move.
There's like a lot of tension in a room when you withhold a song that some people might have come there for.
They get straight up pissed. Like,
yeah,
you get
I remember
shoes
going to
thrown at
see.
you.
I saw Jack Johnson when I was like 18, and he had just come out with this album, and people wanted to hear the song "Bubble Toes," and they just kept yelling the whole concert, "Bubble Toes" between every song, and I was like, man, if I ever make it, I'm not gonna hear some song being shouted throughout the whole set in between. And it was a way of us saying we're
You took control.
we're there's a lot more to take in
Yes.
than maybe this song that you might have got introduced to us through. So we're appreciative of that song, but like, let's get that out of our system,
we're
because
done
there's a
now.
lot more to take in. And we did that, I think, since album 1. So it is kind of like, it's gratifying, because it means that if everybody just flooded the aisles, then we wouldn't really do a good job of like writing good songs after that. But when you play it early, it's kind of like a line in the sand, like, okay,
Yeah.
you're here with us now.
Yeah. No, I think
Yeah.
I've always wanted. The first time I noticed that it was a show at Terminal 5 in New York years ago, and you did it. You
Yeah.
brought out like some kids to sing with you. I think you sang it twice, but I thought that was clever. So good on you,
Yeah.
Jeremiah. Okay, so the new songs immediately. Where We Are, am I right in saying that? Is that the title?
That's a song, yeah.
That's the song. Okay.
It's a cool song, yeah.
From the get-go, that's a sing-along. So there's artist engagement right away. And that's not the only song. I heard another new one called Birthday Song, which is also like really quick to tap into. Tell me something about those, and then we'll dive into what led you to this album.
Where We Are had an interesting life to it, where it was some of the parts of the song were written. Wes and I were in Denver. I think during the pandemic, we were kind of demoing in my basement, and it had a very different format than what it does now. In fact, I remember the way it starts off. We're talking about a song not many people know, but people know it eventually.
They'll know it
The way it
immediately.
starts off, it actually starts off with the chorus refrain. And I remember, to Wes's credit, he prefaced the idea in the studio, hey, this is a really bad idea, talking to me and the producer, Simon Felice, but what if we tried this? And it was sort of inspired by another song, and I think it was a Talking Heads sort of inspiration. It was...
Well, we know where we're going.
Yeah, which starts off with this
Well,
very
we can,
iconic kind of vocal thing, and Wes was like,
Road to Nowhere. that
terrible
was it,
idea,
yeah.
but
Road
let's
to
try
Nowhere.
it.
Yeah.
And then,
Or even Can Anybody Find Me Somebody to Love,
Yeah,
like
Queen.
where you start it with the hook.
and it had this, it has this very sort of live, energetic piano that took forever to record. I think I recorded it like, it's such a simple part in theory, but I tried it on 4 different pianos because I was just trying to obsessively achieve this thing I heard in my head. And it also features very big drums. I mean, the first single, Brightside, has very big drums that you would never expect.
No, I was
Lumineers
surprised.
and drum beats in the same sentence, maybe. But after Brightside, I think that sort of allowed myself to be like, you can be a drummer now, finally, in this band. So I never really considered myself the drummer, though. I just write songs with Wes, and I think we look at songs very harshly, for lack of a better word. We look at them very objectively. What does the song need? What does it not need? Where can we trim the fat? So with these songs, it wasn't like, hey, let's add a lot of drums. Even the song Birthday you mentioned, a lot of drum beats and things that we just felt like evolved our sound, but in a natural sort of stepping stone away from previous iterations that we were doing on earlier albums.
Is that why you look so happy like a naked baby in a candy store? It's because you're like, drums.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's really fun to play drums live. You feel like you're sort of on this big ship sometimes. You're in the back, and I didn't know there were that many cameras on my face.
They were all
Apparently there were.
And there was that big screen in the middle too, and it would like focus in on that smile, and you were just beaming. I figured it was the energy because it was so palpable, but
The new songs, though, they don't feel like you're playing new songs. I mean, we rehearsed so much this last month and a half, so maybe that's why. But even like sometimes you listen through the crowd's ears and you're like, oh man, this is a new song. These songs, I just feel like there's something about the way we wrote them, the way we produced them and finished them, that I think there's an immediacy that you can maybe understand them quicker, perhaps. I don't know. But playing the songs live and playing the drums and playing with the whole band, it just feels physically different than.
Feels right, man.
It just feels right, man.
Yeah.
Let's get to Brightside, which is the introduction to the new album, which is coming out in January. I need it first. Okay. Just sliding that in there. But I don't think I've heard a song that says psilocybin ever in it. It sounds like a love song to me. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I think it is.
Especially that part.
Yeah. It's kind of like, for me, it was an American look at the love story, you know, like the highs and the lows, and the idea that I kept imagining, you know, all of these things falling apart around this couple, and then they were illuminating each other. They couldn't see around each other. It was just, that was all that mattered.
Was the imaginary couple on mushrooms?
No, that was like my own life.
Okay.
I can tell you, like, I'll try to abbreviate it, but
Please, I'm actually trying to pull it out
Yeah.
because I think I know the story,
Yeah,
but I want to
my-
entertain the masses.
so you have to understand that we travel for a living, obviously, and that when so my wife won this trip, which sounds like, to anyone else, sounds like the greatest thing ever, to go on a trip to Mexico. And it was like the worst thing I could imagine, coming off of like a year and a half of touring. And I just wanted to be in my own bed and around my dogs and just like stuff I knew. I know this restaurant. I know where I'm going. I'm not lost every day. And so I got home. We head to the airport for this trip that she won in this raffle. And I was like, I can't do this. I can't get on another plane. I'm going to like lose my mind. So we actually like got out of the Uber and pretended that we had been on a trip and got in another Uber back home. And we got there and I was like, well, I don't want to get in a plane, but if you want to take a road trip, maybe we get in a car. That'd be nice. We could spend some time together. We drove out to Telluride, and she had, unbeknownst, she had brought these mushrooms that she said were years old and were like stale. She's like, oh, these aren't any good anymore. So you got to eat a lot of them to make it work. And she covered like a whole piece of pizza. And she said, yeah, eat these and you'll be fine. And I'll eat some too. And they turned out they were like regular potency. And so I was in the line as I was stranded in the bed, like, you were listening to the Dark Side of the Moon. I put on Dark Side of the Moon, and we were just in a hotel room because we couldn't even leave. We had been outside, and I was like, this is too much. I'm seeing like a wolf in that mountain over here, and this, and
Waves in the ceiling.
yeah,
from what I hear in the song.
and it was the idea that I was with someone and I felt like totally safe, even though I was like out of my mind. We were there together, and we're listening to music brought us together. You know, it was like Dark Side of the Moon. She had never really listened to it in the full album sense, and so we just listened to it on loop, and it was this beautiful experience that if I was in another environment, it could have been like really confusing. You know, like you see people at concerts sometimes, and you're like, oh, I feel bad for that person.
Yeah.
But this was like a
I'm
sanctuary.
usually that person.
Yeah. So the idea is just being with someone and feeling safe, even though you're sort of like tripping out. And psilocybin is actually like a beautiful word to sing. Turns out, like, it's the California of drugs or something. You know, like everybody says California in songs. You know, it's just like, I think there'll be a trend.
Oh wow, that's a good point. It seems to be a subject matter that a lot of people are writing about, talking about, dabbling in, and whatnot. Do you two ever fight? You have this beautiful friendship and brotherhood that we see, you know, and I've seen you sound check, stage, communicate in your own little language. Do you ever have to let it come to blows in order to kind of break the glass ceiling?
Physically fight,
Not physically,
but
but like get out of my face.
Yeah, I mean, we realized we've been making music for 16 years this past August. So there's been some, I wouldn't say it's not like we're the Gallagher brothers or something, but we are kind of like, I think like brothers where things boil up, there reaches a pressure point and we'll get in a big argument. And then I think to our credit, we're pretty good at working through it. It's not like there's these eras of time where it's like we don't talk for months or years or something. It's just more, it's like we're sort of brothers just born out of music and our love for that. We spent so much time, like our wives are like joke that they're, you know,
you're kind of soulmates.
We're each married to the other person's, you know.
This was fated right here.
Yeah.
Before I let you guys go, You have such a huge fan base, and they're so loyal. What did you do to make contact with your fans throughout the madness? The humble session, let's call it.
Yeah.
The humble session.
You mean like virtually?
And yeah, virtually. Yeah. Did you do live streams or
We did
things
some
like
live
that?
streams. The live streams were helpful. We tried to do like, we didn't want it to just be like, I'll do a live. We did a lot of like charity things to support like the restaurants, let's say in Denver, or musicians through Music Cares and things like that. But it's hard. I mean, I don't know that there's a substitute for a live show. So part of it was just trying to say, hey, I'm going to play. Like I remember playing Gail's song one day and posting it, and there was something like 700 comments that day. And I was like, oh, people like that song more than I realized, but also like they needed to hear something. They needed a lullaby, to make the day a little bit better. And I think that was one way. And each of us putting out solo records, I think that was another way to do something to connect. Because I think they can have some of us, but honestly, you're getting our music first and foremost from us. Like you don't really. No one knows you like you. Half time you don't know who you are. But I feel like just trying to give what you make some beauty out of it was our way to, I think.
Yeah. Thank you.
Try to help a little bit, with like a difficult time, because the virtual thing drives me a little crazy.
It got a little too much there towards the end. Like now I'm very put off by it for a second. Like I don't want to see any of it.
It's like a living room show. And it's like, that was
yeah.
cool in the beginning. And now it's like, if you see another one
Yeah.
of those. When
IG Live. Like
when we were touring very early on, we were literally playing in people's living rooms. And that was pretty cool.
That was cool.
And it's nothing like the virtual living room where there's such a palpable energy. So I think hope everybody is like sort of reminded of like there's no substitute for human contact.
Yeah,
like
what we have.
How we all commune together. We played to a fraction of the amount of people that were at the Santa Barbara Bowl before that, and then seeing that massive amount of people, it truly like affects you physically. You're like, whoa, like it makes you feel for a moment like you're not alone.
It was interesting too,
thing,
because Wes and I live in Italy, but I still have my house in Denver, and I kind of live wherever the band is working at the time. And I was back in Denver, and I drove my own personal car from Denver up to the Boulder show, and I was pulling into the alleyway, and two fans immediately recognized me. They were waiting to go on the show, and I'm like pulling in my car. And it just was like, oh yeah, this happens. Like people coming to the show, and there was a huge line of people, and it was really exciting. I felt like I hadn't seen or interacted with people in 2 years, and you like feel awkward, but you're like, this is starting to bring back really positive memories
of the feelings.
All the feelings.
Yeah. I'm going to wrap it up. Yesterday, I went to see this singer-songwriter that I love so much named Frank Turner, who's one of my favorite poets, much like you all are. And he stood a lot of times in between songs, like in awe of the fact that he was in front of people and watching everybody sing. And he said something that hit me. He said, communal singing is so important because it turns everything from a monologue to a dialogue. And we're all in a relationship together. And that power, it's just priceless. And Lumineers shows have the greatest engagement of most any shows that I go to. So it's been great to have that dialogue with you guys and to sing with you. So thank you for everything. I need that new album ASAP. And I'm not even joking. I know people.
We'll leak it to you. Don't worry.
Thank you. And I look forward to Brightside coming out. Do we have an exact date?
I don't know. I know it's like early next year.
I feel like January 14th rings
which
a bell.
is 5 minutes from now. Like literally.
Yeah.
Which is 5 minutes from now. Well, thank you so much, Wes, Jeremiah. It's always a pleasure. Thank you all for watching. I'm Nicole Alvarez, the Lumineers.